The job that is going to pay for it, they're not happy with it. 16% of the millennials reported unemployed, and the previous job they had were low-income jobs. That's an alarming number again, because there is an ambition, there is a desire, and there's a reality on the other side. Also, 76% are expected to leave their current employer and probably look out for a different job by 2020. So there's a huge paradigm shift that's going to happen as we move into 2020, 2021. There's another study which was done globally for the automobile sector, and it probably gives me a little relief. Because what it says is 80% of the millennials would like to buy a car in next 5 years. The point of retail still is an important factor. 87% of the people said that they want a transparent process when they visit a dealership for buying a car. 33% people said they want a car which is technologically advanced or have all the features, is environment friendly, and should stand out when they compare with their peers. Again, a contradiction, because they also said that they want less expensive cars, they want more fuel efficient cars, and affordable payment and leasing options. So the industry is definitely moving in that direction, and obviously the automobile industry is gearing up for the Gen Z and the millennials. 82% of the millennials spend approximately 17 hours on third-party website when it comes to buying a car, comparing the features, comparing the models, and after 17 hours approximately, they decide what car they want to buy based on the reviews and the ratings that they see. However, I also spoke about the traditional and cultural aspect. Car buying is still a very family decision, and that's why a recommendation from friends and family still remains a top priority. We at Jeep definitely understand the millennials, and the way I look at how I can tap the millennial population is, one is obviously travel, and second thing is music. So I have two examples over here. We have something called a Jeep Trails, which is our own IP. We're doing this for almost 2 years now, which caters to the desire for people who want to travel. So I have a small video for that. Can we play the video for Jeep Trails, please? So that's Jeep Trails, where we encourage Jeepers to come together, share the Jeep life, and then take them out for adventure. It's an annual event we keep doing. The second thing, obviously, on Millennials is music is one of the key things that we can connect quickly with the Millennials. And we took this opportunity. We created 6 different series of videos telling them that, okay, you're buying a car, please buy a car which, if you're buying an SUV, please buy an SUV which is a real SUV. So look under the hood. Just don't go by the shape and size of the car, but understand what a SUV should do and what the capability of an SUV is. So we created a series of videos using hip hop and rap music. I'm going to play one of those videos. Please play the second one.
Coming through, G-Compass coming through. Take a look at what no other can do. Keeping you safe, on point and in position. This dynamic steering, torque and rollover mitigation. I roll for. Coming through, G-Compass coming through. Take a look at what no other can do. Keeping you safe, on point and in position. This dynamic steering, torque and rollover mitigation. I roll for the outdoors. I'm hardcore original. Adventure is my speed, but nothing seems impossible. But when I find my wheels in uncertain conditions, DSD engages to stabilize the situation. That's D for dynamic, S for the steering, and T for the torque. Ready, set, I'm revving, assisting your steering so you don't go veering.
Open it from the folder if you don't. Open it from the folder. Yeah, there you go.
Others cower.
Start from the beginning.
Your dream and drive the piston the can do. Keeping you safe, on point and in position. This dynamic steering, torque and rollover mitigation. I roll for the outdoors. I'm hardcore original. Adventure is my speed, but nothing seems impossible. But when I find my wheels in uncertain conditions, DSD engages to stabilize the situation. That's D for dynamic, S for the steering, and T for the torque. Ready, set, I'm revving, assisting your steering so you don't go veering. In crucial conditions, it helps maneuvering, adjusting the power, no matter the hour, on every wheel while others cower. If exporting your dream and driving to your mission, then let me introduce you to rollover mitigation. Always tracking wheels and checking the tension. The sensors in place for targeted direction. Measuring the wheel is by cutting down power and automatic braking that avoids rolling over. Safety is and will always be a top priority. Nothing comes close when it comes to your security. Don't settle for something that's just okay or good. If you're looking for the best, just look under the hood. Under the hood, yeah, under the hood. If you're looking for the best, just look under the hood. G-Compass, this is it.
Superb, thank you. Thank you very much, guys. I'm around and we'll continue the panel.
Thank you, Rahul, very much. Rohit, all yours.
We'll just start with a small video.
And now, you have an option. Sleep land. But first, get ready for awesome. Land, brokers, and security deposits. Correct. Insane security deposits. Rules, which you haven't got to sleep about. And then comes the rank away. It's too damn. In short, adulting is hard. But meanwhile, first, only life. Yep, these are to long-term accommodation and tournament. Downright awesome. No access, no brokerage, no cheap apartments, no rules and handles, no crazy deposits, and no crazy rents. Basically, a rad bag. Hashtag Millennial. Get with the times. Move it, code it. It's yours. Own your life. It's yours.
Good afternoon. I realize I'm standing between Kolkata crowd and lunch. Not a happy position to be in, but I'll try and keep it very, very short. I'm super excited to be here. I grew up in the city, spent the part of my life where I almost just started being a millennial and left at that point in time. I grew up here, did schooling here, college here. আমি খুব ভালো বাংলা বলতে পারি আমার সারনেম দিয়ে অত বোঝা যাবে না reasonably fluent in Bengali So I will actually like to talk a little bit about, first of all, the definition of the word millennial, because there's too much confusion on that. So as per the millennial definition, Dhoni is a millennial and Rishabh Pant is also a millennial. Is that broadly sounds okay? Sounds wrong, no? Right? Dhoni and Rishabh Pant, both millennials, is too broad a range. So I'll simplify it and say that broadly we are speaking about young people, right? Those parents sitting in the audience are probably interested because they want to understand their kids better, because they're struggling to keep up, right? Marketers are interested to understand because they can't get a grip on what this animal really is, right? And generalizations obviously help us, because we broadly brush anybody who's young as millennial, which ranges from 16 to 39, which is broadly how long Tendulkar played, right? That's a long time, right? So, what are some distinct characteristics of people we want as our target audience? Let's put it this way to simplify life. I think they're definitely better educated, better connected. And this is a generalization which is valid across rural-urban sectors. The other startling statistic, if you really talk about the median point of millennial, let's say, somebody who's 32, 33, is that they contribute to 71% of total household income. That's a staggering statistic, because that is a most significant statistic which drives a lot of other downstream benefits or actions which emerge from this segment. But if you think about it, we are presenting this as this cool, not so connected to anything, want a life person. But the person we are talking about is actually become a karta. At 32, you are the karta of the house, right? And I use the term completely gender neutral way, right? I don't remember what's the exact equivalent, feminine equivalent of that. But at 32, you could be running your house, you are paying EMIs, you are running everything, right? So is the definition really valid? Or are we overgeneralizing this whole aspect of who's really a millennial? But there's some things which I observe. I look at data, I also observe, because one thing I'm fortunate, really fortunate, is I run the co-working business and the co-living business. And I always say that that's 24 hours of your life with me. Barring when you're out, not in office and not at home, but broadly 18, 19 hours of your life with me, right? And it's a great way to observe behavior. This is the most grounded generation ever, because they're always looking down on the mobile phones. True? Okay. You go to China, it is mad. You can walk 1 hour in Shanghai without anyone looking at you. Promise, anyone. If you are looking at people, you are the only one observing. Because it's the only thing they look for is the mobile, and that they don't fall into a pothole. And some of them do, right? Not in China that much. They actually, infra is quite solid. But so, second thing I observe is that they actually nibble on content, too young, but don't engage at depth in general, right? So the power of engaging in depth is very, very low. And hence, as companies or brands, etc., the struggle is hard. 5 words are too many, right? 3 sentences, forget about it, right? 5 sentences, you're the economist generation, right? Which still can read through a full economist page and try and figure out what exactly was said there. They have unlimited access to things, but limited interest beyond topicality. It's such a conundrum, right? That when I grew up, I remember in Kolkata for our assignments, we used to go to library. And we have some amazing libraries in Kolkata, which I don't know how many people visit now. And we used to like really try and find that. Our parents used to say, let's buy the Britannica encyclopedia. I couldn't afford it, so my dad hunted for 2-3 months to buy a second-hand one, right? And I still have it because more as a memento rather than anything to be used today. Britannica encyclopedia. Here today, and not this generation because that's too patronizing, all of us have access to so much information but such limited interest beyond immediate topicality. Right? The other thing which is an observation is every generation likes to say this generation is different. Right? I wonder if that is so true and the cause and effect is getting mixed up. I also wanted to buy a car when I was 22. I also wanted a house when I was 22. I also wanted to travel overseas when I was 22. The only difference is I did not have the money, these people have the money now. So as economies grow, consumption, income patterns rise, that creates the ability to do things which they are empowered with. So the aspirations were not that different. The exposure and the ability to buy probably makes it significantly different today, and that's an interesting thing to observe. Other thing I observe is they're not intimidated by the West anymore. They almost feel they belong there even if they're not gone there. Right? So when we grew up, we say, अच्छा वो US वाले अंकल आ रहे हैं उनसे एक पाउडर मंगाते हैं, वो यार्डले का पाउडर आता है, वो फ़ोन करके वो मंगाते हैं, right? And then the US uncle will come or aunt will come with one bag and everybody crowd around and you'll get the Yardley powder and if your very favorite nephew maybe a shoe, right? I think that is gone. I think there's just no charm or intimidation, either ways you think about it. They are truly global. A girl who's 23 years old growing up in Allahabad today is as global as somebody who's traveled the world. Right? At least mentally. Mentally they are ready. And that is a big change because, and that's really I call the digital equalization of the world. Where what digital has done is they have taken everything across the globe and it's very fascinating. I was in Rajasthan for a short holiday last year sometime. And we really went to a village. I don't know where that village is in the electrification app right now, which tracks electrification. But that time electricity was not there. But every youngster there had a mobile phone. So I asked the next question, how do you charge it? So they had a guy who used to come on a cycle, take the mobile phones, go to the nearest village which had electricity, charge it for 5 rupees, bring it back and give it to them. The second method was car batteries, right? So they had figured out their own indigenous way of charging through car batteries. So the village with no electricity had a mobile phone, so they can actually see and access a Kylie Jenner video or whatever it is, while they're still looking for electricity to come. That's true digital equalization of the world, right? And it is amazing how confident that makes people growing up in this generation. Parents are back as role models. Good news, finally. We were either too scared of our parents or felt they had not achieved enough in life. Because we were the generation which broke out, right? And we broke out on the back of their hard work. But we probably never appreciated them as much as we should have, right? And when your starting salary is the same as your dad's retirement salary, it's very hard to have that mental balance at that point in time, say, what has it taken? I think this generation is back to treating their parents as role models, not because they're more generous than we were, because this generation also has parents who are more successful, right? And I've traveled the world more, I have achieved a little bit more. But the good news is that that tension between parents and youngsters on which so many movies have been made, right? तुम निकल जाओ घर से, right? तुमको इसी दिन के लिए पोस के बड़ा किया था. Those dialogues are less found now, right? It's like, chill man. And that could be a dad telling the same thing to his son, right? Or a dad telling a daughter saying, you're dressed too conservatively, not for the party. I can imagine this dialogue today, right? Whereas in my days, my sisters, when they used to go out for a party, they'll actually figure out the back door and they'll ask me, say, Papa, kahan hai, batana jara, udhar hai na? Acha, hum log ja rahe hain, right? Because they did not want to be caught in that situation where my dad thought ki, and dads never communicated directly. They'll call mom and say, thoda dekhna, baat karo inse, right? I think that has changed. So parents are back as role models, and the question is, what does it? See, I have lots of questions, I have very few answers, and there's a brilliant panel which will have many answers. Particularly for girls, and I realize that I'm generalizing here, but particularly for girls, there is a sharp revolution how parents, especially parents who are more financially stable, are raising them, right? So just a small personal story. I have a young daughter, 7. We named her Naina because we were looking for an exceptional role model as a woman leader, and we had Naina, Chanda, and Shikha. Right? This was 7 years back. No controversies existed. So disclaimer. So we said Naina is just a better name. Chanda and Shikha are a bit 60s, but. So my daughter's name is Naina, and that was the reason we picked the name. So she plays golf, and I caddy for her. She's actually an international golfer. She was at the World Championship last week. She's actually 7. And she told me, I said, how do you want me to caddy for you? Right? And she tells me that, Papa, I attended this, I saw this video called Positive Coaching Alliance. So, which means that you should encourage me if I hit a bad shot. I said, okay, anything else? She says, and you can tell me or suggest to me which club should I use, but I will decide. Huh? I said, okay. This is the 7-year-old, this is what is coming. This is just trailer, right? But just imagine if this is 7, add another 20 to it, that woman today is far more confident. And this is posing its own challenges for brands, people, everyone, right? So, for example, the 45-year-old boss today really is struggling to figure out what does 27-year, how to deal with that. Because when they ask sharp questions back at you, there's no longer the option to say, मैंने बोला ना करो. They'll say, तुमने बोला घर पे बोलो. Either तो reason बताओ. Right? Otherwise, I have 2 more options in front of my life, right? So I draw the analogy to the brand. Brands have to influence. They cannot preach. Right? Similarly, all of us have to influence this generation. We cannot preach. Because if we preach, we can choose to, nothing will happen. There is a balance between work and play. Right? So they binge and they curb. It's almost like a pendulum which they keep swinging back and forth. So they'll go out for this mad, party at night where they will eat whatever they want and drink not just mocktails. And at the same time, they will detox for next 3 days to bring the balance back. Right? And, parents can keep saying that this is not healthy, you should eat meal at regular timings and all. Is not happening, and that's also the 6 times a day phenomena of eating. But equally, this is not the generation which lets go of the curb as well. And which is interesting because you can sell and ask them to not buy at the same time. If you know what I mean. So there's a fitness brand which is at play, and there's a snack brand which is at play. Both have equal leverage with the same person. Right? It's fascinating. There is an insane need to monitor and measure. Insane. How many steps did I walk? अभी मैं घूम के आता हूँ 2000 कम है. अरे 2000 कम है इसलिए थोड़ी ना घूमना है. So, but everything has to be measured. So you give them anything which they can measure, they're happy. So health checks have gone up simply because it's a measurement tool, not because people are concerned with health. They just like to see data about themselves, right? And it is fantastic because it actually is the most objective way of brands to figure out that if I can somehow get this person some measurement. So you wore this dress and you got 30,000 likes, right? Cool. Right. So people actually, the only truths available out there is Google searches. Rest all marketing material is junk. Consumer research, absolutely junk. You ask one person in Delhi, is price an issue? क्या बात कर रहे हो? पैसे की कोई प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी ना है. And then they will haggle for 30% discount on everything. Right? So, people don't speak the truth. Google searches speak the truth. Right? And if we had somehow had a peek into what these people are searching, right, that will be fascinating. My guess is that their darkest fears and secrets are being searched on Google, and their most positive biases were reflected in consumer surveys and brand perceptions. And we must guard against that. Because this is equally a generation where insecurity is the highest. Nobody judged us as instantly as the people judge us today. Right? You went to a party wearing this nicest dress, and nobody liked it. This depression is a cause of deep stress and anxiety. Right? So now there's a company which can come up saying social media dress monitor situation. Big market. Right? There's a definitive instinct of self-preservation. Right? Very self-preserved and in a positive way. They figure out their life. They're guarded with their emotions because of the fear of rejection. Right? I think this is the most guarded generation actually. Despite all the public knowledge available about them, it's very hard to really understand what's going on in the head. Right? And that's something which psychologists can have a deeper view. I'm just observing. They have good amount of self-care, which is good, right? They want to dress well, they want to eat well, they want to take care of their fitness, they want to take care of their finances. They may